I'm here with Phillippa Adgemis, and we're going to talk about growing up Greek. Which part of Greece is your family from?
My family's from Phillippa,
Yep.
and we've recently celebrated 100 years of the association in Australia. So my mother she was actually 6 months old on the trip over, and it was interesting, in the shipping manifest it says occupation, and she was listed 6 months old, occupation, home duties. So she was born in 1923 and she died about 10 years ago. So whole life in Australia.
Yeah.
So very much a family that loved AFL as opposed to soccer. My father was 7 years old when he came from a large family, 9 boys and a girl. And most of them came to Melbourne and set up here. So lots and lots of cousins. I think I counted once while I was trying to get to sleep at night, about 75 first cousins just on the Adgemis side.
No way.
So and then
That's
there's
a lot.
the Georgiouris side on the other side. So.
How many, I was going to ask you, how many aunts and uncles and cousins? And it would have been massive.
Yes, there were a lot more than there are now. But look, I've got 3 aunts still alive, and they're just like Peter Pan. It's like, how can you be that old and still look amazing? So, and they're wonderful. They're
nice. Are they still here, or are they like spread around Australia?
Oh, they're spread around. One is, I'm not quite sure where she is. She may be back in Greece now. One's in New South Wales and one's here in Victoria. So
nice. Cool. What do you like about being Greek background?
While it was a nightmare when I was at high school, because we didn't live, although we had lots of family, we'd moved out to the country, Blackburn. So it was a long way out, and people would have to take a cut lunch to come and visit us. And we had a milk bar as well. So it was very much a 7-day-a-week proposition, and we were tied to that. So we didn't socialise a lot with Greeks. It was the big name days, of course, when we used to do that. And that's where I met your mother. We kind of related. But I think it was more of a burden because I wasn't allowed to do what all my friends could do. And it was a classic, I mean, I couldn't go out with my friends. I couldn't go to camps. I couldn't sleep over. I couldn't do any of those things. But ironically, the funny thing was, when we got to uni, the first thing I wanted to do is buy a pair of jeans so I would be the same as everyone else. So, you want to be the same. And it was a bit bizarre because I remember your mum and I were on the first floor of the Ming Wing where all the Greeks, Italians and the Jews used to occupy 3 separate tables, and probably because we were a bit culturally diverse. And they thought we were hilarious because we had all the Greek traditions, the baoulo, all the restrictions about going out, and yet we really, they said, and I didn't feel it either, we really weren't Greek. And then I have some friends that say, yes, you absolutely are Greek. I'm like, no, I'm not. I might be an Aussie with a hint of Greek, but I don't feel like I'm Greek through and through. It is nice to carry that little bit of difference once you're assured of yourself. It's nice to have that edge of difference. When you're feeling like an alien, you want to deny it. But when you grow into your skin, it's kind of lovely to have that background. And having been involved with the Kazi Club for a while, then you start to look at your genealogy and the connections, and also having to, I guess we've written a series of picture storybooks based on the island of Phillippa, and having that connection makes you appreciate the links you have with your origins and with your parents' birthplace. So, did I answer that question?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
I was just going to do that. Ask that question with the books that you've written. What inspired you to writing those books?
It was really my cousin. I can't claim any benefit for that. She had this idea. She has a lot of great ideas, but her idea was to have a set of inspirational books with the 9 muses of antiquity as the centre of it. The conceit of that was that Apollo took the 9 muses and put them into a cavern in Golones, in Gasolorizon, and raised them, teaching them about humanity. And each child would have a drop of sweet substance put on their tongue, and that would enable them to be heard and to communicate with the muse. So there are a series of 11 books, even though there are 9 muses. and we've published 3 of them at the moment. They've all been written for some time now, but it's served a dual purpose. Not only does it inspire young children to walk in the footsteps of antiquity and to learn about our island, because they're all real places that we talk about, and real people that we talk about. Well, a lot of them are real people. It's not only teaching them bits of our culture, but it's also brought me closer to Gustiludazor, to the people, and to the Kazi Club here. So that was probably the reason for it. She's the inspiration. I just tag along, and you know, I'm the barrel girl. Ta-da!
Right. What do you enjoy most about being a principal?
It's interesting. First of all, the autonomy, because I guess you work with people and you learn a lot about what to do and what not to do. If you're smart, you'll learn as much from poor practice as you do from good practice. And I was originally a secondary teacher, but I like to say I got headhunted. I got headhunted after a consulting kind of position, and went into primary schools. And I thought, while I knew that secondary kids come back and thank you for doing what you've done for them, and I didn't think it was much, but they obviously valued it, I thought that it's only a very small period of time that you can impact on young people at secondary. If I could work at primary, you can change the trajectory of children's lives by working with families. So that was my motivation. And probably what I like the most is seeing the potential fulfilled in things. I really hate a waste of potential. I think it's just like a human tragedy when you think you could be so much greater than this. But people, for one reason or the other, don't have confidence in themselves. I love it when there are secondaries especially that come back, or kids come back and say, it was tough, but look what I've done. I've worked through it and I feel stronger and better for it. And then acknowledge that I might have had a little part to play, and that makes your heart feel good.
So you're a vice president of the Kazi Club. What was your highlight being on the club?
At the Kazi Club, lots to do with getting to know people a little bit more. I guess the highlight was, again, seeing the potential in little people. So when we started the Greek dancing group, to do it myself, it was just lovely when the grandparents would come back and say, I love seeing my grandchild dancing, and to see them in the little Kazi outfits. It's so cute, doing something, and for them to love it. I mean, not all kids love it. I mean, little boys especially find it tough. It was always the bribe of the bag of something, goodies at the end. But I mean, it's lovely to be able to hand off our culture. It's kind of like the picture storybooks. It's something that you can hand on that will make people interested in their past and interested in delving into their past. I really have a strong belief about how important it is to have a sense of place. And because the world's becoming so global now, and so you're so unconnected, for people to be able to look back and say, this is where I belong, these are my roots, this is where I came from, and feel that gives them a strength to go on and take a step into what's a pretty frightening world in some respects. I think that's an amazing thing. So.
Was it fun teaching the little kids?
It was. I mean, we did the same thing every week. Kids take a long time to learn things, but that's okay. That's fine. And then you see your couple of little diamonds, and you think, they got it. They've got it. Yeah. So.
Did you go to Greek school?
No, never did. My siblings did. When we lived in Glen Ferry, everything was close. Richmond was close, and my older siblings were much older than me, a good 10 years older than me. So when it came time for me to go to Greek school, we'd moved to Blackburn. And Greek school for an 8-year-old was a train trip and coming home at night. So that's something that my mum said, no, better we don't. Here afterwards, there was a school in Box Hill that started well after, but I'd pretty well missed all the grounding things. And it was pretty terrifying. A couple of times they took me in as a little desk ornament to show their little sister to the Greek school. It was a bit scary because in those days they still, there was a dungeon apparently underneath the church where they put the naughty kids that wouldn't learn Greek, and the strap and stuff like that. I thought, that was pretty scary. So Mum said I wasn't going to go. I wasn't you know, I wasn't fussed. I do remember them putting me up on the table one time because I'd been doing body parts, and the teacher had said, "What are these?" And I put up my hand because I knew the answer was 6. And he put me up on the table and said, "What are they?" And I said, "Mixes." So I found out, and I've never forgotten that nostrils are called rothunia.
Oh,
I've never forgotten it.
Who's your favourite Greek singer?
I don't follow Greek music a great deal. Not that it's just, I guess I got into opera. And I just didn't follow it. Although when we were in Greece as students, we were one of the first Greek university groups to go from here. It was brokered by a guy here, guests of the Greek government, which was really lovely. That was when I was 20, so 10 years ago. It was lovely getting into the Greek music then, and my favourite was probably Marinella at the time, although Dalada was around then, and probably my favourite song that I just sang over and over again until I learned the lyrics was Takbin. I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed trying, because there's a reference to the drink Gochinelli, and I enjoyed trying that too. So it was a really interesting time, culture shock. And I can remember a friend of ours, Leah Zaparis, saying I was trying to sound out because I never was very literate. And I said, "Oh, what are batates?" And she said, "That's batates." I didn't know that the uppercase letters didn't have any donuts on them. So
What's your favourite Greek saying?
Makriaki ke agapimeni. So I think keeping that distance from people makes your heart grow fonder. Except another side of me doesn't believe that at all. I think the spaces between people can often create anxiety and tension. I think, I used to say it a lot, but I actually don't believe it anymore because I think the spaces are worst. I think sometimes you have to keep talking because otherwise there will be a space as deep of the world and you'll fall into it. So I think you've got to keep the dialogue happening with people and the connections happening with people. I think that's the best thing.
If you could invent a new Greek holiday, what will it celebrate?
National Souvlaki Week. I don't know. Probably, I don't know. I know that Mother's Day is probably more of a Western thing. I don't believe there's a specific Greek holiday that's called Mother's Day. It would be nice to have something more than giving presents, but just the esteem of motherhood and womanhood and what the woman has been, on the basis of the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world, maybe. But women give over their power willingly, mostly, although we're not in a society where there's equality by any means yet. So I think the celebration of that giving, of the giving of life, is a really lovely one. Not that a male doesn't have part in that, of course it does, but for so many years women have been sidelined. It would be nice that we are moving one step closer to authentic equality, not just tokenism of giving presents, but something really authentic.
Favourite place to visit in Greece?
Well, while there's some beautiful places, and I love Meteora and I love Olympia, I think, and look, Kazi is beautiful, but probably the one place that I can't resist going back each time is the Spiglia, is the grotto, because the magic of being suspended in this luminous blue water and just feeling like it's timeless. I really love that. And in one of our picture storybooks, there's a beautiful shot that the artist did of a boy swimming in the Spiglia, and that's what I'm reminded of all the time. So I think that just that magical sort of time jewel, I guess, that you can hold in your hand, you can hold in your thoughts, and it's always there. So it never changes.
Cool. All right, now to the more serious questions. Favourite colour?
Right, well, I would say generally black. Having been a theatre person, it's just comfortable wearing black all the time. But I think what I always wanted my bedroom painted was deep emerald green. So I'm sure that would have been interesting for
Yeah.
my mother. No, I like the deep colours, the really vibrant colours. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite Greek dessert?
Well, the galactopuriko, without a doubt. Anything with custard has got to be my favourite, really. So,
yeah. Which family member makes the best spanakopita, and who thinks they do?
my brother undoubtedly thinks that he makes the best one.
Yep.
And that recipe was really interesting because back in the day, we of course didn't have phyllo pastry, and we had a business. We didn't have time to make that. So my mother used to make it from short crust pastry, which is a bit sweet now in retrospect. So, and that hard cheese, spinach, another layer of that cheese, and then the pastry.
Yep.
And it was quite dense. And while it was kind of cloy pastry wise, everyone used to like having it the next day. And you know how some family members, especially my brother, is fixated on the way my mother used to cook. So everything the way she used to do it is his favourite. I actually think my late mother-in-law used to make really good pastry. She used to make it from scratch because they came over later and they came with a bit more time probably. So she made a really good spanakopita. I think now I've got a little bit of a hybrid and I have my own little twists. I don't think mine's that bad actually. So.
Should do a taste test.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Which do you prefer, lamb, chicken, or pork gyro?
Lamb. I do try to stick to chicken sometimes because it's probably a little bit better for you. But I don't know. I think pork's not my favourite.
Yeah. Home and Away or Neighbours?
Well, I have to say Neighbours because I was on Neighbours for a couple of episodes. And look, I think, I wasn't much for watching TV. I don't think I ever saw an episode that I was in. But I had a student at secondary who was so stunningly good looking with the black eyebrows and the blonde hair. I thought, for sure. I used to call him Jason because I said, you'll be on Neighbours one day. You'll be on Neighbours. I couldn't have been more wrong. He ended up being on Home and Away and then became Thor in the movies. So, I keep saying Chris Hemsworth knows everything he knows because of me. And I keep waiting for him to come back and say, excuse me. But he never does. That's all right. I can get away with that.
Yeah, exactly. Any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. No, I think I'm pretty flamboyant about what I can do and what I can't do. I would have liked to have raised some of my skills to a higher level, but that actually needs, I'm not gifted in any way, so it would have needed just hard work. And somehow I always find an excuse for not doing the hard work. So no, I don't think there are any hidden talents. I can kick my leg pretty high. Is that a hidden talent?
I think that's a hidden talent. Finish this sentence. You know when you're Greek when?
As my partner says, when you open the fridge and there are 15 different sorts of olives.
Well, thank you so much, Phillippa, for doing this.
A pleasure.